Welcome to Pro-Democracy News. I'm Peter Watts. If you are concerned about the state of our nation under President Trump, I urge you to listen to this video all the way through. Robert Reich recently shared what he believes to be Trump's four-point plan for the remainder of his presidency. Number one, deploy ICE in blue cities run by Democrats. Number two, exaggerate the scale and severity of the protests in those same cities. Number three, deploy the National Guard troops. Number four, invoke the Insurrection Act. Let's look at these one by one. Number one, deploy ICE in blue cities run by Democrats. Over the last few months, President Trump has openly and publicly shared his intention to target big cities with Democratic mayors. Why? Trump claims that these cities are rampant with crime and drugs, and he blames those problems almost entirely on non-citizen immigrants and Democratic officials.
Biden allowed 21 million people to come into our country. Of that, vast numbers of those people were murderers, killers, people from gangs, people from jails. They emptied their jails out into the U.S. Most of those people are in the cities, all blue cities, all Democrat-run cities, and they think they're going to use them to vote. It's not going to happen.
Trump is no stranger to his demonization of all immigrants, and he makes no distinctions between hardworking immigrants who love the United States and those who are actually doing crime. Since Trump's rise to power, he has nurtured a false narrative about non-citizens, and this has fueled much of the hatred and violence of ICE agents against any immigrant they arrest or deport.
As president, I will carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history to remove Joe Biden's illegals and murderers, because that's what many of them are. They're from mental institutions, and they're from prisons from all over the world, from Africa, from Asia, from South America, from the Middle East, all over the world. Many of them come from prisons and mental institutions. It's very simple. If they don't go back to their countries, we will never get back our country.
When Trump describes all non-citizen immigrants as criminals or illegals who bring nothing but drugs and crime to our cities, he is stoking and inciting racist violence at the hands of his ICE agents. According to Reich, this is precisely why there has been massive protests in major blue cities. Americans are tired of seeing ICE agents use violence and excessive force against ordinary human beings, immigrants who are just trying to make a better life for themselves, and then get abruptly attacked by ICE agents. So Americans are taking to the streets in protest. And ICE has not stopped with just targeting non-citizens. They have even punched, kicked, and slammed to the ground everyday American citizens who are nearby the arrests or who are protesting the violence they see happening to their immigrant neighbors. Number two, exaggerate the scale and severity of the protests in those same cities. Trump recently called Portland war-ravaged and has referred to both Portland and Chicago as being a hellhole or a burning hellhole. Here is an image he put on his Truth Social account. Illinois' governor and Chicago's mayor have debunked Trump's propaganda, saying there is no evidence Chicago has become a war zone. Portland's police chief has also debunked the claim that Portland is a war zone and says there's really no need to send in the National Guard.
Well, my message is that I have tremendous confidence in the ability of the Portland Police Bureau to provide the highest level of safety and security for all of Portlanders and for all the facilities in the city of Portland, and that we are well on our way to demonstrating that throughout the efforts of the past couple of years, and I don't see that changing. So we're in good shape. I don't see the need for the National Guard at this time. I really believe that we've got a handle on it.
After a recent conversation Trump had with a reporter, it became clear that he had been watching footage of Portland that was from the 2020 protests. Fox News, ironically, had recently showed footage of those protests from 2020, claiming it was current footage of 2025. So it's very likely that this is the same footage that President Trump was watching. So whether knowingly or unknowingly, and I'd venture to say most of it is knowingly, Trump has grossly exaggerated the crime and the violence of what is going on in major American cities. Number 3, deploy the National Guard troops. But this is part of the point. If Trump can publicly claim that Democratic-led cities are war zones and hellholes that are literally burning to the ground by fire and violence and drugs, then it gives him a permission structure to claim that he needs to also send in the U.S. military. Trump has already deployed the National Guard to LA back in June, to D.C. back in August, and recently sent them to Chicago over the last week, and has plans to send them to Portland and other major Democratic-led cities in the coming weeks. What is unfortunate for these National Guard troops is that they are being taken away from families and usual day jobs and deployed into these cities that simply do not need defending. They literally do not need to be sent in. They are largely standing around and bored because there is no violence or war zone caused by the citizens. The only violence occurring is the violence at the hands of ICE agents. Number 4, invoke the Insurrection Act. Here's where things could get much worse, according to Robert Reich. If ICE agents continue to violently arrest and kidnap thousands of honest, hardworking immigrants with families and children, and if ICE agents continue to beat up everyday American citizens who are simply trying to speak out against this violence through peaceful, nonviolent protest against ICE and against Trump's authoritarian policies, then eventually there will be some Americans who can't take it anymore, who eventually react with violence against violence that they see ICE engaging in. But let's be clear, thousands of uploaded videos online and real-time witnesses to these ICE encounters have shown that the real instigators have largely been ICE agents, not the protesters. But if protesters begin to use violence against ICE, then this will provide a pretext for President Trump to use the Insurrection Act. This will federalize the National Guard so that they take a more aggressive action against the protesters themselves, which up until this point has yet to happen. Reich, however, didn't stop there. He proposed that once the Insurrection Act is invoked, it will give him the permission structure to also oppose his political enemies, like Democratic mayors and governors and other government officials who oppose his policies. This also sets the stage for the likelihood that Trump will use the military to arrest his political enemies, claiming that they broke the law, when in fact they didn't. I want to add another step. Step 5, Trump's use of the Insurrection Act may likely mean that he will attempt to use the military during the midterm elections and again during the next presidential election to guard polling centers and ballot drop-off sites. This will undoubtedly cause some citizens to panic. Some voters may not even get out to vote out of fear. There's already good indication that Trump intends to stay president after the next election, even though the Constitution legally permits an American president to only serve 2 terms. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please do me a favor and hit like on the video. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe for more breakdowns like this. If you want to support my work, become a paid subscriber to my weekly Substack newsletter. There's also a free option. The link is in the description.